Hey guys, and welcome to the Band Rants channel, your home for NFL projections, predictions, and of course, your periodic rant. And today we're going to be talking about the New England Patriots 2021 schedule predictions. And this is one of the ones I've been looking forward to do because they've improved so much over the offseason, more than any AFC team, in my opinion. You could argue, Cleveland, Baltimore, and Kansas City being on that list at some point, but I think the Patriots, in terms of the draft and the free agency moves, have improved more than any AFC team. And we're going to talk about the schedule. We're going to get into how they do, if they'll get back to the playoffs. And before we do all that, if you're new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like button on the video, and leave a comment down below if you want to see me talk about something else. And let's get started. So they open at home against the Dolphins, and they've usually fared very well against the Dolphins at home, except for one outlier a couple of years ago when they played the Dolphins in like a Week 17 game, and the Dolphins ended up playing spoiler. However, I believe that was arguably like once in a great wild chance, and it could improve with Tua down the road. But right now, I think the Patriots are not going to lose their home opener, not with all the moves they've made, not with so much optimism that hasn't really been here last year. It was here this year. I think it's going to be back this year, and it's going to help the Patriots get through a lot of Brady-less times. At the Jets, this is a no-brainer. Don't underestimate the rivalry here, but the Patriots usually have been faring very well against the Jets. Belichick plays them very tough and plays them very hard. At home against New Orleans, this is a clear-cut home field advantage. And normally the Saints would be a bigger threat. If Drew Brees was here, this would easily be a loss. I'm actually going to go out on a whim and say that the Patriots take a win here, and both the Patriots and Tampa go into Week 4 at 3-0 on a Sunday night with the lights on bright in Tom Brady's homecoming game. Now, if you guys watched my Tampa Bay prediction video, I gave Tampa a loss in New England, and that's not going to change. And the reason it's not going to change is not because it's going to be a shootout. It's not going to be a blowout game. It's going to be a shootout, not a whatever. But it's going to be a game where it's basically Tom Brady versus Bill Belichick. And Bill Belichick and his defense is never, ever something to be toyed with. It always comes out on top, if not, a few statistical outliers. But usually, when you cross down to it, the last time you saw Tom Brady face a Bill Belichick-based defense was against Detroit a couple of years ago on a Sunday night with Matt Patricia as the head coach, and the Patriots actually lost that game. So that's not what I'm basing it off of. It's just something to keep in mind when you talk about a Belichick-based defense. Now, going into Houston, Deshaun Watson can still throw the ball all over the place and still play very well, but the Texans are just a broken franchise right now. We don't even know if Deshaun Watson's going to play. And with that being said, I mean, who knows who the quarterback's going to be? I can't give a team with no quarterback that is really defined if Deshaun Watson doesn't play the win. I think the Patriots are going to be fine here. And Cam Newton's going to have his best start in a long time. I mean, is it unreasonable to think that he could lose in Week 4? No, not really. But it's also not unreasonable to think he could win. Cam Newton plays very well against the Tom Brady team. Now, Cowboys at the Patriots. This game is probably one of the trickiest home games the Patriots have on the docket, but the reason it's tricky is just because of Dallas's offense. I think that Bill Belichick can handle his defense well, and it's going to really be whether Dak Prescott can handle Bill Belichick's defense. I mean, we actually saw a couple of years ago how the Cowboys really didn't do that much against the Patriots defense, and this one could go either way. I'm actually going to go ahead and give the Patriots the win, but they barely claw it out. And at home against the Jets, that's another win, and they get the sweep out. Now, starting off 7-0, that's a big, big stretch, and it's not unreasonable to think that they could start off 5-2, 6-1, potentially. At the Chargers, I'm actually going to give them a loss. And the reason I'm giving them a loss here is because I don't see the Patriots going 10-0, 9-0, 17-0. That'd be kind of cool, but I think the Chargers are due for a big home win. I think this is where they get it. At Carolina and against the Browns are both going to be wins. If you guys watched my a couple of my last videos, I'm not going to change that. However, don't be surprised if the Browns and Patriots game comes down to the wire. At Atlanta, that's another win. And they're already off to a really good start. But I mean, of course, there's going to be a little bit of a hurdle Patriots have to navigate. At home against the Titans, I'm actually going to give the Titans an upset win here. I think the Titans are arguably the most complete team with the exception of Tampa. And I guess you could throw Dallas in there, I guess, and Cleveland, I guess. But I mean, in terms of just a winning package that's been proven to win consecutively, Tennessee is a team that still has a lot of eyes on them and could potentially end up going toe-to-toe with the Patriots and Bill Belichick, especially Mike Vrabel. He plays very well against the Patriots. This is a revenge game for the Patriots, so it could come down to one possession, but I actually think the Titans are the odds-on favorites early on. At the Bills, that's going to be a loss. The Bills, I think the Patriots and Bills are arguably going to be fighting for the AFC East, but I think right now the Bills are the odds-on favorite to take that. And coming off the bye, at Indianapolis is going to be another loss. And both teams coming off the bye does help and hinder the Patriots because New England does particularly play fairly well coming off the bye. But Indianapolis down the stretch, I don't think is going to be as bad of a team as people think. I think they're going to be a very fair weather team. I don't know if it's going to necessarily have a positive spike or a negative spike. We'll find out when I do their prediction, but right now I think the Colts could take this one. At New England, at Foxborough, look, no team is perfect at home, even harder to play teams like Seattle and New Orleans, and that includes New England. And I think that Buffalo could get the sweep here. However, this could go either way. I think the one in Gillette Stadium is going to be easier for New England to win simply because New England at home is extremely difficult to beat. It's not impossible, but it's not exactly easy. And at home against Jacksonville, here's where the Patriots start to come back a little bit. They do get the win here, and they're looking like playoff hopefuls at this point, 11-5. And then going into the final game, bad things do happen for Bill Belichick in Miami. So this one could go either way. And I think the Dolphins could be just playing spoiler at this point in the season. However, I think the Patriots, being a bit of an optimist, I think they actually finally solved the winning in Miami puzzle that they haven't been able to solve for a while. And they take the win here. Now, worst case scenario, I see the Patriots going 10-7, 11-6 maybe. But I do think they get double-digit wins with all the moves they've made. If they haven't, it's going to be very disappointing. And that actually could force a lot of questions in New England if really Bill Belichick can do it without Tom Brady. I think last year was a bit of an unfair request because of all the opt-outs with COVID and everything else, but I think now there's no excuses. So if you guys like this video, I'll be sure to check you guys out in the next one, and see you there.